Hello there guys, my name is Chris, YouTube channel Dogs to Born, but built for Theme Park News, and welcome to this small Theme Park Newsroom update from Six Flags New England. Now, this was a teaser that was spotted on the front of their classic theatre, teasing the announcement date for their attraction for next year. Now, it teased the 28th of August 2019. Just think about it. Great Adventure are announcing on the 29th, Monstrous Edition. Obviously, that's going to be the highlight of all the Six Flags announcements, which seem to be on the 29th. New England are announcing on the 28th. Now, there have been talk of a Zamperla Endeavour. However, if you watched my earlier video where someone commented something that they spotted on site, and I did a video based on that, about these markers being spotted on, you know, I think it was like the first airtime hill of Superman the Ride, and sort of near Batman as well. Now, I talked about how that, and I talked about how it's the 150th anniversary of the park. Now, I know Six Flags possibly doesn't, you know, take into account anniversaries, but I did predict a Max Force type air compressed launch coaster by SNS. Now, why would they announce something a day earlier than the rest of the parks if it's not a big announcement? That's sort of where I'm thinking here. Now, I'm sticking my prediction. I think that New England is going to get a coaster next year. I think it is going to be a Max Force type launch coaster. If I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up. Prediction done out of the window. I'm guessing I've got a couple of predictions wrong already. So, again, it's not a big deal. But if they are getting a coaster, and if it is going to be a Max Force, I think this will be a fantastic addition to New England. Now, people talked about a Zamperla Endeavour, kind of like Supergirl, and there was like a thing on the Coaster Force forum that I spotted with like a Supergirl comic and things like that. Now, I do agree it's Supergirl, but I think this is going to be an air launch coaster themed to Supergirl. I think this is going to be, and I'm not taking anything away from Discovery Kingdom and their Skyrocket 2 with the Superman coaster, but I think, in terms of names and themes, I think, and just think about it for a minute, just think about where the markers that I was told were placed near Superman the Ride and Batman. Supergirl Ultimate Flight. New England's fastest multi-launch coaster. And New England's first compressed air launch coaster. Just think about that. That would be a great addition for the park. It's the fastest launch coaster, or possibly the fastest coaster in New England, and it would be New England's first air launch coaster. I mean, that could be brilliant. Now, whether it's a clone of Max Force, I don't care. If it's a clone of Max Force, it'd be a bit of a bummer, but not too much, because I think New England would benefit from this coaster anyway. If it's a custom layout, which looks like it would be, I don't think a clone of Max Force would be specific enough, but if it is going to be a different layout, like a custom layout compressed air launch coaster, I think it would be a fantastic, an even more fantastic addition if they were adding a clone of Max Force. Obviously, a clone would make Max Force obsolete, but not too much because it was the first, so it wouldn't take anything away. I think it would take away from New England, personally, if it is going to be a clone, but I think most likely it would be a custom layout if it is going to be a Max Force type coaster. It will be a custom layout, it won't be a clone at all. So, and to be fair, I do think that these air launch coasters are the future of the Six Flags chain. I don't think they're going to add them to every park. So, of course, Magic Mountain's got Full Throttle, I'm sure, and they've also got West Coast Racers, so again, they're not lacking on launch coasters. This would be for parks lacking on launch coasters. And New England definitely lacks on a launch coaster over Georgia. That obviously I spoke about in one of my earlier videos on the channel, like the first few videos on the channel, which was like nearly, wow, like it's a couple of months of nearly being a year old, that video, which is unbelievable. Obviously 2nd of November is the first video we filmed on the channel, so 1 year anniversary is coming up thick and fast. But basically, I spoke about in that video how there was rumours of it being an SNS 40 free spin next year over Georgia, which seems to be the likely rumour at the minute, the heaviest rumour at the minute. And 2021 would be a Max Force type launch coaster. Now, I think that will happen, and I think New England will get their launch coaster next year. I think it will be a Max Force type launch coaster, and then it will be over Georgia the year after. So I think they're going to add one each year to parks that need a launch coaster. So it was Great America this year, and I'll speak about Great America in a separate video because there was something that I spotted at the end of a Twitter video, which I'll, speak more about in that video later on. Fifth and final video today, so stay tuned for that. So Great America got theirs this year with Max Force. It'll be New England next year, in my opinion, and then it'll be over Georgia the year after. The year after that, we're not going to predict at this stage because it's 2022 and that's just a few years away. But I think the most likely scenario is that it'll be New England next year and it'll be over Georgia the year after. So I think that's how Six Flags are operating this. Parks that need launch coasters and need coasters in general, it will be sort of their year. I think New England this year, over Georgia next year, and then it'll be the next part that need a launch coaster to get a Max Force type launch coaster. So I think with the success of Max Force, I think that will prompt more of these launch coasters. Maybe after over Georgia, they may invest 2 launch coasters in 1 year. They may invest 2 Max Force type launch coasters in the same year. It could be 2022. It could be 2022. 2 Max Force type launch coasters at 2 different Six Flags parks. We don't know, but at the minute it seems to be 1 every year. And with the rumours of Over Georgia getting 1 in 2021 and Great Adventure getting Max Force this year, I think that middle spot next year in 2020, that middle spot between the 2 years, will be filled by Six Flags New England. I think that's what we're thinking about here in terms of theories and scenarios. So there we go. So that's just a small theme park news update on the teaser then, and sort of thinking about what could be coming. Obviously it's the 105th anniversary, so I'm sure they're going to do some celebrations throughout next year, but I don't think they're going to announce that. I think they're just going to say, oh, we're going to be celebrating the 105th anniversary by doing some parades and things like that, but that isn't the biggest news coming. The biggest news is, of course, Max Force, or whatever it is. Or, I think, because they're announcing it a day before Six Flags announce the rest of the attractions, I do believe that New England will announce the coaster, and then at Six Flags announcement video the day after, they're going to say, Six Flags New England, we're going to be building this. This is New England's fastest launch coaster and New England's first air launch coaster. As well as, in addition, we're going to be celebrating the 150th anniversary of the park by doing this, this and this. So parades, celebrations, shows, etc, etc. So I think New England are going to be in a pretty good spot for next year. I think New England are going to be one of the parks to watch. And I think Six Flags is going to have a fantastic year next year. Obviously, we don't know if the new park president and CEO is going to be in the video or this. I think this is most likely set to be Jim Reed Anderson's last announcement video because, of course, we know he's retiring, but we didn't know if a new park president was going to come in and take the announcement video this year. So it looks like Jim Reed Anderson's going to take the last announcement video for this year, and I think he's going to go out with a bang. I think this year's going to be brilliant. Great Adventure for a coaster, New England for a coaster in my opinion, St. Louis possibly for a coaster, over Georgia possibly for a coaster, La Ronde possibly for a coaster. We could be seeing at least 5 coasters in the Six Flags chain, which would be fantastic. As well as that, I'm thinking Magic Mountain's going to do a Sky Screamer. I'm not going to go into my final predictions because you can spot that. It's one of the top videos on the channel now. It's the second most viewed video on the channel now at like 2,650 odd views, behind the 2.7k viewed stealth video about the lunar theming and stuff like that. So loads of highly rated videos, which is what I like to see. So thank you very much for watching this Theme Park Newsroom update from Six Flags New England. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss a YouTube video. And for now guys, my name is Coach Chadonks the Born, but built for Theme Park News. Keep loving the coast life, and I'll see you guys in the next video from Six Flags Great America, to end the day. Take care, have an awesome day, my friends.